There are so many anti-Christian principles behind the practice of gambling. Gambling is the very opposite of loving your neighbor as yourself. It is not honest work. It is not honest labor. It is dishonest, hasty, and unjust gain. It is by nature covetous, worldly, greedy. Even the heathen look upon it as evil, dangerous, selfish, irresponsible, and addictive. So it looks evil, even to unbelievers, even to Muslims. They acknowledge this as wickedness. Allow me to elaborate on this, and please take this from an ex-gambler. I used to justify this sin for years, but now I see clearly. Ezekiel 22, verse 27 and 29. Her princes in the midst thereof are like wolves ravening the prey, to shed blood and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. The people of the land have used oppression and exercised robbery, and have vexed the poor and needy. Yea, they have oppressed the stranger wrongfully. Whether it's poker, which, yes, has a massive amount of skill, I cannot deny it. Whether it's blackjack, roulette, even smaller forms of gambling, even random games that you make up, big or small, gambling is covetous, it is greedy, it is worldly, it's an appearance of evil, it's by nature covetous, and it's to prey upon the weak. Right? Good poker players are called sharks for a reason. A shark devours the fish, hunts and kills, takes advantage of the weak, just like a wolf, preying, hunting down the prey, to shed blood, to destroy lives. It is dishonest gain. It is not honest labor. It's not honest work. Adam was commanded to be fruitful and multiply, to have dominion over the earth. He's supposed to work and labor with his hands. He's supposed to do things that actually benefit society. Gambling is a waste of time, and it's greedy. It's dishonest gain. The people of the land have used oppression and exercised robbery. And as I'm going to elaborate later on, it actually breaches the commandment, thou shalt not steal. It's actually a form of robbery because it's greedy and it's a dishonest gain. It's heart robbery. You're desiring your opponent's money. You're desiring their money at their expense for yourself, whether it's the casino or whether it's a fellow poker player. You're trying to oppress the poor. You're trying to take advantage of people's mistakes. You're betting against them. You're betting on chance instead of trusting in God and His providence, His proper provision. You're betting on chance for your life. So you're preying upon the weak. You're trying to take advantage of their bad emotions, for example, their bad decisions. You're trying to own fish and donkeys, trying to destroy them, trying to take their money for yourself. It's selfish. It's part of the love of money. The love of money, covetous and greedy. Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gotten by vanity or hastily shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Proverbs 28 verse 20. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. Being hasty for ill-gotten gains is wickedness in the sight of God. Gambling, the object of gambling in all its forms, big or small, is to hurt your neighbor. You are to harm your neighbor, taking his money for yourself at his expense. It makes a mockery of trusting in God's providence by betting on chance. It is a most grievous sin. It breaks numerous commandments. You're breaking the third commandment. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, because you're engaging in worldliness, you're engaging in hypocrisy, you're making a mockery of God's providence by betting on chance, throwing dice and lots in vain. This is breaking the third commandment. Gambling is also idolatry. Colossians 3:5, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, or put to death your sinful members, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. To covet your neighbor's property, whether it's their house or the money that they have on the table, or it's the casino's money, it's covetousness, it's greed, it's idolatry. You're worshipping money. You want their money for yourself. You want them to lose money. It's very anti-Christian. Hating your neighbor, Romans 13 verse 9. For this thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. If there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this, saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The second table of the law, including the command against stealing. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. You're not supposed to aim to take his money and ruin his day, right? And you're even bluffing itself is a form of dishonesty. You're pretending that you have a good hand, so you're bearing false witness. You're betting a bunch of money to try to push your opponent off their hand. It is anti-Christian in so many ways. It is hating your neighbor, taking their money. That's your goal. They lose, you win. How selfish is that? If you're a Christian, you can't do this. You can't justify this. The Westminster Shorter Catechism says, question 75, what is forbidden in the 8th commandment? Answer, the 8th commandment forbiddeth whatsoever doth or may unjustly hinder our own or our neighbor's wealth or outward estate. In gambling, you are risking your own money. And it tends towards addiction. It tends towards greediness and covetousness by nature. It always leads there. You cannot rid your pride and your anger if you lose money, or if you lose a hand, or you get bluffed. Someone shows you a bluff. You'll be filled with rage very easily, very quickly, filled with hate, filled with greed. You want to get revenge, and you're trying to take your opponent's wealth and outward estate. You're trying to hinder their money for yourself, and you're risking your own money. So this is a clear breach of the principle behind the 8th commandment, which forbids heart sins as well. Remember, thou shalt not commit adultery is not just about sleeping with your neighbor's wife literally and physically, but it includes the heart. Jesus said, if you look upon a woman with lust in your heart, you've committed adultery already. And so the 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal, includes heart stealing, heart greed, coveting your neighbor's property. You desire it for yourself. You want it. And this is evil in the sight of God. The 10th commandment, thou shalt not covet. This should be covet. What is required in the 10th commandment? Answer. The 10th commandment requireth full contentment with our own condition, and a right and charitable frame of spirit toward our neighbor and all that is his. In poker and in all forms of gambling, you want your opponent's money. It's not a right and charitable frame of spirit. You don't love them when you're trying to take their money. Jesus and the apostles won't be gambling at some poker table or casino, looking extremely worldly, just enjoying this world, drinking of sin, looking evil and being greedy, being extremely worldly, going for worldly entertainment, wasting away money and time and effort. It's not full contentment. It is unlawful. It is wickedness in the sight of God. It breaks so many commandments, so many commandments. You must avoid it completely. You must be content. Avoid even the appearance of evil, Paul said. Avoid even the appearance of evil. Have a right and charitable frame of spirit toward your neighbor and all that is his. What belongs to him, it should be his. You don't crave it for yourself at the poker table. Please take these things seriously. I used to justify poker like crazy. And I was good at justifying it, and I was a winning player. It's wickedness. Never go to it. Never go back to it. Turn from it. Be content. Give your life and heart to Jesus. Depend upon his grace to deliver you from all forms of greed and all forms of worldliness.